Good morning, good morning. It is Saturdays with Sherry. It is so good to be here this morning, and I am excited because I have a most special guest here. And as we are all getting ready to jump on Facebook this morning, I want to encourage you to be strong in the Lord and the power of His might. While you're jumping on, just remember that it's so important for us to advance the kingdom of God. And so you can do this in a couple of real easy ways. One is you can like and follow at Sherry Linchester. This helps us get the word out to women of all ages and stages. It's not about the fact that it's an ERA thing. It's all about a God thing and being everything He has called us to be in the moment. Harley Kate, good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, good. I am so glad to see you. So, for people who may not know about you, I'm going to say a little and then I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit more about who Harley Kate is. But this is my friend from Sulphur Springs, and she has been a leader as long as I can remember. From the earliest of years that I was around her, she was very responsible. It was almost like it was an innate calling in her life. She's very active in her high school, where she is a junior and a cheerleader, and she does all kinds of things with like health science, technology, education, and she excels in many areas. And yet the thing that makes her so beautiful, which she is inwardly and outwardly, is her love for Jesus Christ and how she likes to disciple girls her age and younger. So, Harley Kate, that is my intro of you. But tell people more about who you are, what you like to do, and what's up with you.
Well, I like to think that I'm completely different from a lot of people. I like to believe that I have a whole different mindset and that, there's always something good out of everything. And I always like to be the encourager. I like to be confident. I like to be the person that makes someone's day. And I like to be the person who encourages other people to make someone's day. And I'm definitely involved in literally everything you can possibly imagine. Seriously, I'm never home. I'm when I am home, it's shocking because if you haven't seen me in a while, I've been at school, I've been at dance, I've been at cheer, I've been working my ministry, so forth, so forth. I'm involved in everything.
Okay, I love two things really stuck out. Now, I do understand that you're busy, but your busy does sound fruitful. But the first thing you said right off the bat is, I like to think that I'm unique and different. And I hope that females of all ages realize how important that is today, because it's true. Everyone is unique and different. Everyone brings something really special to the table. And then, Harley Kate, the fact that you said how you love to encourage people, help build their confidence, that this is just so important. And I just want you to know, I mean, I hope that I will say it again, but let me say it right now. I'm so very proud of you. I'm proud of the fact that you lead well, that you submit to authority well, and so I welcome you on the show today. I think our listeners are very curious, and I want to hear more since it's been a while since I've been around you in person. Uh, so, how did you get to where you are with leading all these girls in a discipleship group?
Okay, well, it's kind of crazy how it all led up, but the year I was going into seventh grade, I went to a church camp and I had this crazy vision during worship, and there was a bunch of pink shadows, just several pink shadows, and they were worshiping. And then here I was, it was a black shadow, and it was me on stage with a microphone, and I had my hands up. And ever since then, I've never really understood what that meant. And the second I got out of middle school, I started thinking about it more, and I was like, okay, it just keeps coming back to me. Like, what is that vision? What did it mean? And the older I got, the more I start to understand because I started to mature more. And I have these friends that I talk to constantly about, you know, what it could mean. And so then finally I started praying about it. And one day, my sister, she was like, Harley, I'm about to start sixth grade. And I was like, what? That's crazy, you know? And honestly, her age group has always been, so close to me. They've always been like my little sisters. And I started to think about it and I was like, it's the middle school girls. I always want to be there for them. Middle school was definitely a
Yes.
hard patch of life, and it's when you start learning who you are and you learn more about other people and the way the world works, and it's truly cruel and it's hard to deal with sometimes. So I wanted to be somebody that they could rely on. And so when I found out that vision, that was middle school girls, and God was calling me to minister to them.
Okay, so what's so great about this on several levels, you're right. We do live in a fallen world. It's not always easy. Middle school really is a time of transition. I love the fact that you had the vision, you held on to the vision, you kept it in your heart, you thought on it, you pondered on it, you prayed about it, and then you took action. And I want you to know that I am going to ask you a question about that, but I want to make a comment about it first. I know people much older than you and older than me that have had a dream from God, that had a vision, and they've let it just lie dormant. Harley, what caused you to know that you needed to act and to act now? And what is the discipleship group called?
Well, my group is called Sisterhood Middle School Girls Ministry, and I call it sisterhood because, like I said, I feel so close to this group, and I want them to all feel like sisters and know that they have each other to lean on. And it's not blood that keeps us related; it's
That's
the love we have for each other. And um, one thing that really said you need to take some action was last year we had a dance camp, and I had a girl who was in middle school, and she was going into seventh grade, and she came up to me and she was like, Harley, I'm having such a hard time right now, and she wanted to talk about it. And whenever she finally started telling me about what was going on in her life, I was like, you're not the only one. And it opened my eyes to realize she was not the only one. And some of the things that she said she was going through, I did as well. And so when I knew that I had answers for her and that she's not the only one, it opened my eyes to realize more girls need to hear that they're not alone, because that's one of the biggest things in middle school. You'll feel lonely, and that's just in life in general. You'll feel lonely at times and like you're the only one going through something, but really you're not.
That's so true. And that's a common theme for females of any age, but I'm so glad that you're recognizing it now and that you're exposing the lie of the enemy, because he will tell us all kinds of things. You're not special. You're not beautiful. You are alone. No one likes you. No one cares. And all that is so far from the truth. And the fact that these young girls have you in their life to speak hope is absolutely wonderful. And I love seeing the pictures on your Facebook account. I can tell the gals are happy and interactive, and you've got community support. And we're going to talk about some of that a little later on, I hope, in today's show. But right now, Harley, I just want people to hear your heart. So over the next few minutes, will you just share with us what God's been showing you, or something that you want to share with our listeners that are with us live and later?
This is actually a great week for this because at the beginning of the week, I had been praying to God about my friends, and like I do that every night. I want the best for my friends and my family. And I was praying to God, and He said the word shift. And I said, okay, shift what? What do you mean by shift? And He said, well, I want you to really think about this because I have 4 people you're going to tell. And 3 of those people I'm going to tell you now, but you'll find that 4th one later on. And I said, okay, God, what does shift mean? And I had been writing this essay about 1920s fashion versus 2020s fashion. And so I was talking about how it changed. And so I had written synonyms for the word change, and I had put shift. So I opened my notebook and I had wrote shift, and I said, oh, okay, so maybe he means change. And then I was like, okay, change what? What do you want me to tell them? I can't just walk up to somebody and say, change. And so I went and I got on my phone and I went on TikTok. I got a notification and it said, change your perspective. And I click on it and there was no video. And usually when you click on a notification, you see a TikTok video. And I was like, okay, that's weird, but maybe God's saying for me to tell them to change their perspective. And then I got to thinking again, God, everybody has a perspective on everything. What am I telling them they need to change their perspective on? And he said, seek not view. And of course, again, I'm like, okay, those are the same. Oh, I hit my spoon. But I was like, of course, those are the same thing. Why am I telling them seek not view? And then
Okay, say that again so people can hear that third word really well.
seek not view.
Okay.
And so then I said, okay, God, give me an example. I need to know what this means. You can't just tell me two of the same word. And he said, okay, it's like looking at mountains. When you look at, hey, Bubba.
on the computer.
And that's exactly what.
Hey, Paxton, can you go back in there, please?
I need glue.
I don't have glue right now.
Yes, you do. I'm going to take your AirPods.
Okay, well, I love you. Can you please go back in there? Okay, so he said it's like looking at mountains. When you look at a mountain, you're viewing it. You're just seeing what it looks like. But if you're truly seeking into the mountain, you're figuring out how you're going to get there, what's on the mountain, what happens on the mountain, and so forth, so forth. So he's saying, change your perspective. He's saying, change your perspective on the way you view things, and you need to start seeking deeper into them. So I go and I tell these 3 people, and I figured out why God told me to tell these 3 people first before that 4th person. And that is because they all said that implied exactly to what's going on in my life. I had just prayed about it, and, it's true. Like they said it, and now I understand that God's really there. He's really listening. And I went and told this 4th person, and they were so mad about it. And they wouldn't listen. And I was like, okay, well, when God tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. And I said, it might not be right now that you're going to hear it, but you're going to hear it at some point. And I said, it might not come from my mouth, but you're going to figure it out.
Yes.
And they were so mad about it. And they said some really not so nice words. And I said, well, you know what? I believe that you're going to hear it and it's going to be life-changing for you.
Yes. So, Harley, what was pretty important about what you did and what God allowed to happen is that the first 3 people received the word, the live word, the now word, the Rhema word for them with great joy. The 4th person, you were planting a seed. You weren't getting to see an immediate response. That doesn't mean that it won't pull up at the right time. So I really appreciate the fact that you shared that. And, you said a few things that people of all ages be wondering, which is, well, how does she talk about hearing from God so freely? And sometimes it's not an audible voice. Sometimes it's just a still, quiet voice inside, or it's by what we read. But just go ahead and talk to our viewers for a moment about how does God speak to you? Because he speaks to all of us in very different ways. But what does it look like? How do you know you're hearing from him?
I know I'm hearing from him because I will pray about something, and it could be something that I know is not going to change. And it could be something that I've just been dwelling on, and I don't know if it's ever going to get fixed or not. And whenever you wake up and you feel so confident about your day and how great it's about to be, and you feel like that all that weight is off your chest from the day before, and everything that happened that went downhill, it's gone. You know that God's truly listening to you. And
Yes.
I know I'm hearing from him whenever, things like I got a TikTok notification that was non-existent. And, I just think it's crazy. Things like that. It's so simple.
Yes.
Sometimes you could just be thinking about something and then you see somebody that that has been going through the same thing. And it's just crazy because, that he's listening, and you know that you can hear him whenever you even just see things, not just
Yes.
necessarily hearing words.
Yes, that's so true. And remember that part of hearing God is when we read the Bible, we hear him through his word. But I want to reiterate something that Harley said that is so important. If you put somebody on your heart or mind, then that's when you need to Facebook message them, text them, call them, pray for them, because he leads in just the everyday circumstances. It's just a real easy flow in and out. And he's speaking to us all the time through circumstances, through what's going on. The Holy Spirit is nudging us. And the more quickly we obey, respond, then the more we hear his voice. So that is really, really great, Harley. Okay, so I really appreciate you sharing that about change, because my goodness, that's all that 2020 and 2021 have been. And so we need to embrace the change. And like you said, instead of looking at what God is calling, or even looking at something that feels very challenging, we just need to walk toward it, get in the midst of it, because he is always there. He's just waiting on us to take the next step. I love what you said. Okay, so in working with these middle school girls, and I know that you've had a lot of community support, but first let's talk about, my goodness, how did you get the trust of the parents? Because, I mean, you're a junior in high school and you started this at a pretty young age, which is wonderful. But, talk to our listeners, and really even older, more mature leaders want to know, how did you go about this?
Well, I'm not going to say it was easy at all. I'm not going to say that it was a breeze, because it was not. And, as a teenager, there's that stereotypical side where everybody's just like, yeah, she's nothing like perfect, she's nothing good, she's just a regular teenager. And that's really, it was really hard at first, because I know I'm different. I know I'm not like every other teenager, and I know I don't think like them. I know I don't do what usual teenagers do. And one thing I feel like really helped is that I'm so involved. Like I said, I'm in everything. I talk to everyone, and people are my passion. I'm always talking to them, and I'm always learning more. And I feel like I started it at a good time, because when I said my sister I had my sister, my cousin, I have my dance girls, their parents already know who I am. It starts with them. And then whenever they start getting things out of the girls' night, and they start hearing from God at the girls' night, they can tell that to their friends. And whenever the parents of the friends, they start hearing about it, then they're going to be like, oh, wow, that's crazy. And then they're going to start thinking, maybe this is good for my girl. And then they'll send them in, and they leave, and then they invite their friends. And so that's how we get so many girls, and they hear from God, and we're spreading his love. And it's really exciting for me.
Yes, it is exciting. I just want to recap some things I heard you say that I think are valuable lessons, regardless of any person's age or stage. Right off the bat, Harley said it wasn't easy. We think just because we have a call of God on our heart that it is just going to roll out. And yet, anything really of value takes work. To get good grades takes work. To be a good friend takes.
I think it froze.
There we go. I noticed I had a connection glitch. But the bottom line is, do it afraid. Be willing to put in the work. And then the next thing that Harley said that was super important was she started with the people that she knew that were closest to her. Everyone has a sphere of influence. Start with the people you know, grow and go. And she was right. When people buy into the goodness of God and what's going on, they're going to tell their friends and share. And so, Harley, that is just so wonderful. So, so very good. All right. So there was the parent element with the girls. But then I've noticed, man, you got donations from like the Way Bible Church and several other churches, and uh, a snow cone place giving you ice and Spot Nutrition. How does this happen that you've started getting such great community support?
Well, I'm one of those people, I don't really like help, and I like being super independent, and I don't really like asking for anything. It makes me feel, I don't know, it makes me feel like I can't do it myself, I guess. I don't really know. But that's not the truth, because over the past month, okay, and honestly over the whole course of time, but mainly in the past month, I've realized it's so great whenever you see people seeing you do so good in others' lives that they want to help you. And it makes you feel so good to know that they want to be there right by your side. And about a month ago is when my mom, she said, Harley, you have to stop doing this by yourself. She said, you don't realize you cannot just use all your money. You need some for yourself. You need some, to have fun. And I said, but I'm having fun. This is what I like to do. And she made this Facebook post and blocked me from it and put my Venmo and my, I know, she put my Venmo, my Cash App and everything. Well, I woke up and I went to Walmart and I left Walmart. Walmart doesn't have good service. And so I walked out of there and I started getting all these Venmo and Cash App notifications. And I was like, what is this? And everybody was saying, you're doing so good. This is for your girls' night fund. And I was like, wow, that is crazy how everybody just came together. And I got $500 out of that day. Like, I thought it was incredible. And it helps me get um, materials for my sermons and some, like, sometimes we use like examples, and I've bought candles before. We've done s'mores and we have notebooks and pens and markers, and it's just so great that I can get all those things and not have to worry about it coming out of my own
Yes.
bill.
Yes. Okay. So a couple of things. First of all, hats off to your mama. Always listen to your mama.
Right.
She did really well in the fact that she was teaching you a valuable lesson. We can't lead alone. We can't do life alone. Really, we can't influence others in a way that Christ would have us to love people alone. So whether you realized it or not, you passed a very valuable test in the fact that you accepted help. And then the other thing is when we don't readily accept help from other people, we're blocking them from a blessing. They may not can go in and preach and teach to middle school students, but they may have the extra $10, $20, whatever, to put toward the cause and help with that. And so it reminds me of the Bible verse that says we're held together by what each joint and ligament supplies. And so you had joints and ligaments coming alongside you in the community. I think it's great, and I'm really glad that has happened. Now, we're going to get a little bit more serious here because I want us to be able to help other girls your age. Actually, I want you to be able to help ladies, women of God that are older than you, because I want you to share what you have learned through this process. And what would you do differently? Because so many times the reason that females may be a little bit hesitant is they just aren't sure how to navigate something. So talk to us about the process, what you learned that was really good, and what's something that you might do differently if you had to do it all over again.
Something I've definitely learned is that not everybody's on your side. And and that's okay because I'm not asking for everybody to love me. I'm not asking for everybody to love what I'm doing. That's not it at all. Um at first, I'm so young that I had some friends that were like, "What? You're really going to do that on your Friday night? Are you really going to go? How about we go to Whataburger? How about we go do this? How about you come over and we'll hang out?" Well, how about Saturday we can hang out, but I'm going on my Friday, I'm going to go talk to my middle schoolers. And honestly, what I've learned is that it doesn't matter if you're different. It doesn't matter if you feel like you should be doing something different than everybody else, because what everybody else is doing is not what you were meant to do.
That's
You
right.
know, you never know what situation you could get in. And honestly, I feel like spending my Friday night at a church is pretty great to me. So, um, something I would do different is not care about what they all said, because it really, at first I was like, am I really dedicated to this? Am I really about to spend every Friday night talking to middle school girls? And you know what? Yeah, I am. And I don't care what anybody else had to say. And I wish at first I would have thought about that, like it was because I started it in the summer. So obviously everybody's having fun and stuff. And you know what? I'm having a blast. And I don't really care about what everybody else will say. So my advice would just don't don't care about what people say. This is you.
Okay, that is great advice. Whether you're 2, 22, or 92, stop caring about what other people think. If God has called you to it, He will walk you through it. He'll give you great joy. And Harley, I love the fact that you said you love what you're doing Friday nights. You want to be with the girls. And that's just it. God will give us the desire of our hearts. He will cause us to flourish when we step out and do the right thing. You see, when we all act the same, then somebody is missing out on God's best for their life. So I hope today that regardless of your age and stage, you'll ask, what would God have me to do today? What does He want me to do in the future? And keep in mind, finding your purpose and calling is not hard. Like Harley said, it's something that she desired to do. It started because her sister and her cousin were going into middle school, and she realized the struggles and the trials they were going to have. Ask yourself, even now, what are you passionate about? And then you're going to find out that that is really lined up with what God is calling you to do. He gives you the desires of your heart. He even puts those desires in there. So make sure you do that. Along the way, leave some comments on Facebook Live or YouTube for Harley. Give her a word of encouragement because I think that is going to be something that will help spur her and the middle school girls on as they grow in Christ. Okay, so you heard God when you were in middle school. You acted on what He said in high school. So what do you think the future looks like for you? What do you see yourself doing in 5 to 10 years from now?
See, every week I think I want to be something totally different. We even had this Kahoot game at my birthday party, and it said, "What does Harley want to be when she's older?" And nobody knew because they said, "What is it today?" And honestly, I've been thinking about that question a lot this past week, and I think in the next 5 to 10 years, I'm going to just be striving for whatever God's telling me to do. I'm not going to think about everything that I need to do. Honestly, I feel like it's just it's going to be a go with the flow. I want to still do my ministry for sure, and that's why I'm picking I'm going to commerce college, so that way I can still be here with my girls and, spread God's love to a new group. And I want to just, whatever I do, I want it to involve people. I want it to involve as many people as possible, honestly, so that I can be able to show God's love through more.
Okay, I love that. I like the fact that you don't feel like you have to have a plan, but you really have the best plan of all in place, which is you're going to follow God's leading. You do know that you want to further your education. You know you want to see through what He has started in you with these particular girls. And who knows, you may be training up women that are going to be future preachers and missionaries and CEOs of corporations, the next governor, representative, senator. And so what you're pouring into people is valuable. And really, that's true for all of us. You have no idea what your kind word, what your smile, what your side hug, what any of these things may pour into someone that they desperately need, because people are pretty good about putting on a smile and still be hurting on the inside. So be sensitive to whatever God is telling you. You don't have to say, oh, I think you're sad, but just love on people right where they're at on the way to where you're going. Remember, Jesus did that. He stopped for the one. And Harley, Kate, I love how you are stopping for the one, and especially the middle school girls. All right. let people know how they can follow you on Facebook and any other social media that they can stay in contact with you, follow the journey, and be a part.
On Facebook, my personal page is Harley Kate, and I have a middle school ministry girls group. It says Sisterhood Middle School Girls Ministry. So go follow that so you can see all the updates and the pictures and the videos from the girls' nights. On Instagram, we have Harley_Kate2, and it's my personal. And then I have sisterhood.msgirls, where we also keep up with all of our updates and our upcoming events.
Okay, that's really good. And I want you to go back and put that in the comments when we close so that people will be able to know how to follow you. I think that is really important. So I know that you may have some of your girls watching live now and some watching later. Anything you want to recap from last night or share with the girls? And then I'm going to ask you one or two more questions along that same line.
So last night we dug deep into that quote. She leaves a little sparkle wherever she goes. And don't forget, that sparkle is not literal glitter. That sparkle is your impact that you're leaving on them. It's your positivity, your happiness, and your joy. So don't forget to leave that sparkle and not to be dull. And I love you all so, so much. Not just my girls, but I love everybody. And I can't wait to see where this takes us.
Yes. Now I like real glitter, but I like the glitter even better that shows up on us when the joy of the Lord is our strength. I think that's wonderful. So for parents or grandparents that might be watching right now that are like, okay, this is interesting. What would you want to share with them to let their daughters attend the group locally or to look for something locally like this for those that live in a different state or country?
I would say, for one, for the people who already are letting their kids go, thank you so much for trusting me with them. I love y'all because who just trusts a 17-year-old with their girls on a Friday night and all these activities? Not many people, but here y'all are. Thank you so much for seeing my potential and for truly letting me express God's love. If your girl hasn't came yet, please send them, because honestly, I love seeing new faces. I love getting to know new people. I love finding out more about people. And I just find it interesting that nobody's alike. I just think it's so fun to see all the new faces and the new lives and the new minds that come in and the new hearts. If you don't have something like this around, you know what? Make your way to Sulphur Street. I'm just kidding. But if you would like to, that'd be fun. But if not, it all starts with you. And it all starts with you showing God's love. You pray about it. You'll find something, because middle school's hard. And not only middle school, life is hard. So it's so great to just have God on your side.
Yes, it is. Okay, and because there are all in different capacities, what would you say to them if you knew that you had a room full of pastors and youth leaders, children's leaders? What would you hope that they would know, and what would you want them to do to help other middle school girls?
I would hope that they would hear the word from that night and they would take from it and they'd take it to heart. I would hope that they'd be able to encourage me to know that, I have something, I have a fire, and I'm ready to shine it. I'm ready to spread it everywhere. If I was in a room just full of pastors and all that, honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. I would just leave it. I'm not trying to impress anybody except God. That's it. And honestly, I think I don't want to be fake. I want to have it. I want to have it all right there. What we've been doing. I want them to see what I've been doing. So.
Yes. Okay, then I think I want to add to that. For those of you that are parents, for those of you that are in ministry in any form or capacity, for those who are business leaders, I want you to realize that today you've seen one of many new, young, emerging leaders. There is hope. Find those young men and young women in your area who desire to please God. Invest in them. Give because at any time we are called to live a legacy and leave a legacy. And part of the way we do that is we invest in people who are younger than us. Harley, Kate, I appreciate you being on Saturdays with Sherry so very much. I want to remind people that we have an upcoming event in March with two really dynamo women, Natasha Davis and Sabrina Williams, talking